Used to believe my life was painfully ordinary, the kind of safe predictability that people complain about but secretly depend on to keep their sanity intact. Every day rolled into the next like pages in a book no one bothered to read twice. My mornings were timed, measured, rehearsed. Alarm at 7:30.
Stretch. Groan. Reach.
Silence.
Ceiling.
Same faint crack above the light fixture. Same distant hum of traffic. Same neighbor coughing down the hall like clockwork. I told myself this was stability. I told myself I liked it this way. I lived alone in a modest apartment that politely pretended to be modern. Beige walls softened by time. A tired couch that sagged like it carried emotional weight. A coffee table with faint water rings from moments I forgot I was human and not a machine. Books I hadn't touched. Plants I forgot to water. Everything was arranged in a quiet, invisible structure that only made sense to me. And somehow, that controlled stillness made the loneliness easier to digest. Until the cat came along. That particular Tuesday didn't stand out at all in the beginning. It was just another gray sky, low-energy day. I had finished a video meeting that felt longer than the entire month, closed my laptop, and exhaled through pressed lips. My reflection in the dark screen looked exhausted. Tired eyes, unshaven jaw, hair permanently messy no matter how many times I tried controlling it. I grabbed my keys and grocery list and stepped outside, welcoming the slight chill of movement just to remind myself the world still existed beyond glass screens and virtual voices. When I returned, paper bag in hand and mind half-focused on dinner options, that's when I saw it. A small gray cat sat in the middle of the apartment stair landing. Not curled up, not scared, not hesitant, just sitting, watching. Its fur was scruffy in the way that suggested survival instead of comfort. Slight dirt clung to its paws. Around its neck hung a torn red ribbon, frayed at the edges like it once belonged to something happier. But what struck me the most were its eyes, green, sharp, unwavering, eyes that held far too much awareness for a creature that small. We stared at each other for a long moment. Then I shifted the groceries. You planning to move, or should I just teleport through you? The cat blinked slowly, insultingly calm, then looked away as if bored by my existence. I stepped over it awkwardly and reached for my apartment door, only to hear soft, deliberate paw steps following behind. When I opened the door, the cat didn't hesitate. It walked inside, as if this had been arranged. Absolutely not, I muttered. This is not how adoption works. It ignored me, obviously. It surveyed the living room like a landlord checking property value, then leapt onto the couch, spun twice, and collapsed into a loaf of superiority. I tried everything that night.
Shooing. Clapping.
Soft persuasion. Harsh persuasion. Even lifting it up, which resulted in a clean, offended swat to my hand and a glare that suggested I had committed a personal crime. Eventually, exhaustion won the argument. I was losing. I reasoned it would leave in the morning. Strays did that, right?
Wrong.
I woke up with fur on my face and warm weight pressing on my chest. The cat sat comfortably upon me, purring like it owned the breathing rights to my lungs. It opened one lazy eye as if to confirm I was still its chosen pillow and went back to sleep. That's when I named it Shadow. From that moment on, everything shifted. My living room transformed from peaceful shelter to chaotic obstacle course. Shadow walked across what paint I didn't even know I had. It claimed my laptop keyboard as its throne. It sat directly on my work while I pleaded softly for cooperation. It knocked pens off my desk like a tiny tyrant reviewing casualties. One morning changed everything. I had left my phone on my bedside table next to a simple glass of water. Shadow leapt onto the bed, tail flicking with theatrical grace, and brushed the glass just enough to make it topple. It happened in subtitles of horror. Water spilled. Phone slipped. Gravity laughed. I snatched it up instantly, panic flooding my throat, drying it with shaking hands, pressing buttons desperately. The screen flickered once, twice, and died. That phone carried an alarm reminder and the number for a job interview that same afternoon. I never received the call. The email arrived instead. Cold, professional, Final. Opportunity rejected. Shadow groomed its paw in the background like a satisfied villain. Then came the date. My brief hope of normalcy. I cleaned, sanitized, decorated. I even dressed nicely, daring to imagine something close to happiness. But Shadow had other plans. Mid-awkward laughter, it leapt onto the dining table and stole chicken like a crime boss. Silence filled the room. My date's smile faded. Politeness replaced interest. Departure followed. I stood staring at Shadow like I was confronting a natural disaster. "You have ruined my life." Shadow yawned. That's when I realized. This wasn't a phase. This was war. War wasn't declared loudly. It unfolded through silent narration of frustration and helplessness. I purchased every behavioral trick the internet recommended. Motion sensors, spray bottles, noise deterrents, sticky tapes. Shadow defeated them all like a seasoned general dismantling amateur strategy. It adjusted. It calculated. It mocked. My dignity became collateral damage. Every time I thought I'd outsmarted it, Shadow simply found another way to assert dominance. Knocking mugs off shelves, curtain climbing marathons at 3 a.m., stealth attacks on my charger cables. I stopped flinching. I stopped pretending this was temporary. I started living inside chaos. Then one night, surrounded by mess and exhaustion, I broke. I sat on the floor beside broken ceramic and tangled wires and laughed. The laugh turned thin, then quiet. Then it collapsed into tears. I didn't know I was holding back. But strangely, in moments of calm, I began to see another side. Shadow would curl beside me when I returned home. It slept on my hoodie. It followed me room to room, silent but ever-present. It studied me with quiet attention when exhaustion carved my face into resignation. Still, reason told me I couldn't live like this. I attempted to rehome it. Ads, shelter visits, potential families. Each time, Shadow transformed, aggressive, dramatic, possessive. Nobody wanted a rebellious gray demon with attachment issues. Something softened inside me. One night, rain tapped the windows like gentle apology. I collapsed onto the couch, drained. Shadow climbed beside me without arrogance and rested its small head against my arm. It purred gently, not victorious, not playful, just present. And for once, I didn't move it away. Change came quietly, like morning light creeping past closed curtains. I stopped fighting the routine Shadow forced upon me. I started making space, physical and emotional. I bought scratching posts, toy mice, cat beds. I learned her habits and patterns. And somehow in adapting, I grew. Shadow still caused chaos, but I began to anticipate it. I backed up data. I placed mugs away from edges. I wrapped cables in protective sleeves. I worked around the feline hurricane instead of trying to control it. Then came the scare. Shadow hid under the bed one afternoon, refusing food, silent. Panic clenched my chest. I rushed to the vet, whispering promises. I never thought I'd speak to a creature that once felt like my enemy. The vet smiled. Minor issue. Temporary discomfort. Nothing serious. Relief flooded my body like forgiveness I hadn't anticipated needing. From that moment, everything changed. I reattempted job applications, interviews, presentations. This time prepared, confident, focused. I succeeded. Shadow watched my victory dance with mild curiosity and lazy approval. The apartment felt alive now, not perfect but vibrant, full of shared silence, shared warmth, shared routine. Morning coffee was no longer lonely. Even chaos carried comfort. One evening, sunlight kissed the living room floor in gold. I sat beside Shadow on the couch, its head resting softly against my leg. The world felt still, not empty, peaceful. "You didn't ruin my life," I whispered. "You just rewrote it." Shadow blinked slowly, curled closer, and purred like a quiet promise. And for the first time in a long while, I understood. Sometimes the thing that shatters your structure becomes the very foundation you rebuild your heart upon. Sometimes The chaos that scares you teaches you how to care again. And sometimes, the cat that came to destroy your peace ends up teaching you what peace truly feels like.